Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's that time of year, feeling better than opening your first present on Christmas morning. It's time for playoff baseball here in Audubon. Last year, of course, we were in the same situation as we are today, which feels almost like deja vu, as last year's first-round playoff opponent was the Salem Rams of the Tri-County Conference. And today, our first-round playoff opponent is the Salem Rams of the Tri-County Conference. Salem's coming into this game 6-15 on the campaign as the number 15 seed, and Audubon, after being the 1 seed last year and falling to Woodtown in a monumental upset in the second round, they are bumped down to number 2 in 2023, with Buna being the number 1 seed this season for South Jersey Group 1. Welcome to coverage of playoff baseball, folks, here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. My graphics crew, Gavin Van Rell and Caleb Lane, my producer, Donna Wilkins, and myself, Dan Wilkins, welcome you to the first round of coverage here in South Jersey Group 1 playoff action between the Audubon Green Wave and the Salem Rams. Again, the same team that Audubon played and beat 11-0 in the first round of playoffs last year. This time, the situation's a little bit different. If Audubon wins this game, or regardless of who wins this game, they will face the winner of Pittman and Wildwood, who are going to be playing, maybe they've already started, from Alcyon Park down there in Pittman. But it's going to be a fun one today, as Evan Biddle is getting the start for Salem. Evan Biddle, the same right-hander who threw a perfect game versus Leap Academy earlier in the month, he'll be squaring off versus Scott Lynch, the senior right-hander, here in the playoff opener. Let's take a look at our starting lineups real quick, starting with the Salem Rams as coached by Josiah Hughes. We've got ourselves Andrew May behind the plate batting leadoff for Salem. Evan Biddle is the pitcher batting second. Terrell Robinson is the third baseman batting third. Ethan Longo is the right fielder batting cleanup. Chase Davis is the shortstop batting fifth. Caleb Clare is the left fielder batting sixth. Bryce Harris is the DH batting seventh. Colin Finney is the first baseman batting eighth, and Nick Grusmeyer is the second baseman batting ninth. Ryan Timmons is in center field for Salem, but he will not bat. For the Audubon Green Wave, as coached by Rich Horan, it's Tyler Wiltsey at shortstop, Ryan Zimmer at the catcher spot batting second, Scott Lynch on the hill batting third, Charlie Grady is in the cleanup spot batting cleanup. In left field, Trent Bennell is the right fielder batting fifth. Jack Dempsey is the second baseman batting sixth. Joey Slavin is the first baseman batting seventh. He'll move over to the DH spot once Scott is relieved from the game. Nick Caladros is the third baseman batting eighth, and Charlie Copsetta is the center fielder batting ninth. Salem is still doing their long tosses out in the outfield, and they have not warmed up yet, but the umpires are here. We're running a little bit behind schedule. Salem left the bus, excuse me, they left around 3 o'clock, so we're running a little bit behind here from Hank Greenberg Field, but hang in with us. We'll have yourselves playoff baseball coming up here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. We'll be right back, folks. Did you not do it? Audubon's taking the field now as the Green Wave begin their pursuing of another state title here in 2023. We've been waiting 11 years for this kind of moment, but the journey starts anew every year. Scott Lynch is the starter for the Green Wave this afternoon with Ryan Zimmer behind the plate. Joey Slavin at first base, Jack Dempsey at second, Tyler Wiltsey at shortstop, Nick Caladros at third, and then in the outfield is Charlie Grady, Charlie Copsetta, and Trent Bannell from left to right. We've got ourselves a good one today between the Salem Rams, which are the 15 seed in South Jersey Group 1, and the Audubon Green Wave that are the number 2 seed. Whoever wins this game will face the winner of Pittman and Wildwood, the number 7 seed versus the number 10 seed, respectively. That's a game going on right now at Alcyon Park in Pittman. But what you got to remember about these playoff teams is that everything starts anew in the playoff season. Everybody's 0-0, everybody's in a brand new slate, and nobody is worried about what happened in the regular season, because once you're in the playoff bracket, there's no going back. Out of the 21 teams that qualified for South Jersey Group 1, 16 made the playoffs and 5 went home, and only 2 of those teams that missed the playoffs played a full season. So, you know, whether these guys on paper look like good teams or not, they're not going to let those records from the regular season hamper their emotions going into this playoff bracket. They want to be the underdogs. They want to be the Fairleigh Dickinson University, as in March Madness from this year, you know, 16 seed beating a 1 seed. Audubon played Salem last year. They know how they play, and they're facing a similar guy on the mound tonight in Evan Biddle for the Rams. But as Andrew May gets it set here for the Rams, let's take a look at our starting lineups. Here for the Rams and the Green Wave, it'll be Andrew May behind the plate, Evan Biddle on the mound batting second, Terrell Robinson batting third, and at third base, Ethan Longo is in right field batting cleanup, Chase Davis at the shortstop spot batting fifth, Caleb Clare in left batting sixth, Bryce Harris, the DH, batting 7th, Colin Finney, the first baseman, batting 8th, and Nick Grusmeyer batting 9th. And the playoffs are underway with that fastball right there to Salem's Andrew May, as that one misses downstairs, 1-0. Lynch is probably the perfect guy to start this playoff opener, as there's going to be a strike on the outside corner, 1-1. Lynch in his swan song season, a 2023 senior, committed to Sacred Heart University, as that one is going to miss, 2-1. Lynch going over to play Division I football for the next 4 years, and whether he stays all 4 years at Sacred Heart, he's going to have a familiar teammate in Pat Driscoll, the older brother of Sean. He plays wide receiver over at Sacred Heart. He actually was there back when Sacred Heart was a D2 school, and they moved up to a FCS school in the last couple of years. 3-1 pitch to Andrew May is going to be a walk, and Salem gets it started with a base on ball. So May reaches, bringing up Evan Biddle. This could set out to be a good pitcher's duel if the defense can back up Biddle this afternoon, as Evan Biddle did throw a perfect game earlier in the month of May versus Leap Academy, a team that went 0-18, but don't let that fool you. Getting 21 outs in a row is still an impressive feat, so I wouldn't hold it against them for the fact that, you know, throwing a perfect game is not easy. We saw one perfect game this year on a DWD broadcast. It was Bishop Eustis and Cinnaminson. Landon Mack threw a 5-inning perfect game in a 10-0 rout of Cinnaminson in the consolation game of this year's Ralph Shaw tournament. The 1-0 to Biddle. There's a strike right down Broadway, and it's 1-1. Biddle and then Terrell Robinson, who proudly sports number 42 on the back of his jersey. He's on deck for Salem. 1-1 from Lynch. It's going to be a slow tapper back out to Dempsey. He'll pick it up and flip it to second for 1. On the first is, I believe, just going to be in time for 1. So that's going to be a fielder's choice. Retiring May, but replacing that runner at first with Evan Biddle, bringing up Terrell Robinson. So a 4-6-3 fielder's choice, giving us the first out of the ball game here, setting the stage for Robinson. Ethan Longo on deck
for the Rams. Down and away, 1-0.
Hey, come on, Scott. Go, Scott, come on. Yeah, one pitch away here.
Fouled back to the screen.
See that, Char? Read that swing. Yeah, see that. Let's go, Scott.
1-1. Scott Lynch having a 1.21 ERA in 2023, 45 strikeouts, 34 2/3 innings, 20 walks though on the campaign, 6 earned runs, which was shockingly the same amount of earned runs that he had in 2022. But the difference was he only threw 13 innings last year. This year he had 34 under his belt, which is almost, threefold what he had before as a throw over to first. Not in time. Second pickoff attempt Lynch has made on Biddle. This is Lynch's 10th appearance of the year. He threw 50 pitches in 3 innings in a 14-0 win over the Sterling Silver Knights to close out the regular season, as there's a strike called, 1-2. Lynch mostly keeping on that fastball, trying to... He was trying to, throw in and twirl in some off speed to start versus the first 2 batters, but I don't think that has exactly prevailed to start. But Robinson swings and misses, and Lynch has his first strikeout of the night, number 46 on his swan song campaign, bringing up Ethan Longo. So here's Ethan Longo, the right fielder. Runner on first, 2 down in the top of the first. Salem and Audubon scoreless here. Just getting underway in the playoff opener of 2023 in South Jersey Group 1. There's a waiver and a miss by Longo. 0-1. First 3 for Audubon will be the usual. Tyler Wiltsey, followed by Ryan Zimmer and Scott Lynch for the Green Wave. Biddle is running, but a foul ball by Longo negates that, and it's 0-2. Ethan McDonald Longo, that's his full name. He's a sophomore, 362 average, 17 for 47, 9 stolen bases, 2 extra base hits, 2 walks. Also his 2/3 innings on the mound this year. And here's a swing and a miss, throw down to second base. And it's not going to matter because that was the 3rd strike and the 3rd out, so the inning is over. Evan Biddle left on first base. Audubon looking to capitalize early here in the first round of NJSIAA South Jersey Group 1 playoffs. We'll be right back here between Salem and Audubon. Green Wave looking to have another party on Walnut here to start and kick off the 2023 playoffs. as Tyler Wiltsey gets it squared away for the Green Wave here in the bottom of the first. Starting lineup for the Green Wave facing Salem's Evan Biddle this afternoon. It's Tyler Wiltsey at shortstop batting leadoff, Ryan Zimmer behind the plate batting second, Scott Lynch is the pitcher batting third, Charlie Grady is the cleanup man in left, Trent Bannell is the fifth man in right, Jack Dempsey the second baseman batting sixth, Joey Slavin the DH, or rather the first baseman batting seventh, Nick Caladros the third baseman batting eighth, and Charlie Copsetta the center fielder batting ninth, as Wiltsey has to bend over backwards to avoid that fastball inside. It's 1-0. Evan Biddle, the 6'2" senior, delivering the 1-0 with a high pop-up in the shallow right center field. Longo calls for it and makes the catch, one away. Wiltsey is retired, and Zimmer now will bat here for Audubon. A couple of Salem fans here and there, not exactly a packed house on the visiting side, but the home side drawing a good crowd, but
well, they are 45 minutes away.
yeah, not around the corner. So to any of the Salem folks that are joining us this afternoon, I know I gave some business cards to some of the parents out there, but welcome to the broadcast. You're watching coverage of Audubon Green Wave baseball here in the playoffs on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. If you have any questions or comments about today's broadcast, drop me a line at thedanwilkinsshow@gmail.com. 1-0 to Zimmer. Takes a strike right down Broadway. 1-1. Biddle with a 2.26 ERA in 2023, 31 innings pitched, 60 strikeouts. He's collected 181 strikeouts in 3 varsity seasons, doing it like clockwork. 61 in 2021, 60 in 22, and 60 in 2023, with that ERA getting progressively lower. It was 4.20 in 2021, 5.30 in 22, but he's lowered that almost 3 full points to 2.26 here in 2023. As there's a swing and a miss, making it 2-2. This is his 8th appearance of the year, and in fact his first since the 5-inning perfect game, which had 14 strikeouts and only 59 pitches versus Leap Academy back on last Monday, the 16th. So this is his first appearance since then. Zimmer's going to ground this one to the right side, and it's going to trickle through in the right field, a base hit. So you could say that that breaks up a 5 and a 3rd inning perfect game across 2 games and 2 different opponents, but Zimmer's going to have himself a knock here to bring up Lynch. And as I said earlier, a perfect game is a honorable act and an honorable feat no matter what team you're playing. You can be playing the best team in the state or an 0-18 team, and it still counts the same. It still goes in the record books, and you know, Biddle should be very proud of himself for that. As the first pitch to Scott Lynch is upstairs. So fly out to right, and a single by Zimmer sets the stage for Scott Lynch here, the starter on the hill for the Green Wave. Lynch fouls it back. 1-1 out towards the Audubon Family Park. Lynch batting .443 in his senior year, 2 homers, both in the same game versus West Deptford last Monday, and that roller coaster 12-11 loss in a full 9 innings. 12 walks, a total of 35 for 79, 4 hit by pitches, and a .633 slugging percentage. Throw back to first, nothing going on there. Zimmer gets back in safely. On deck, Charlie Grady. They're going to throw back again, not having any trust in Zimmer. I don't think he's going to try to steal the base, but if he does, then, you know, Salem is armed and at the ready. Here's the pitch. Zimmer is going. The throw down to second base is in plenty of time, but he gets around the tag. I guess it was a little late, but looking up from my camera, it definitely looked like the throw might have beat him. So, stolen base for Ryan Zimmer, and that's going to bring a runner to scoring position here with 1 out and a 2-1 count to Scott Lynch, now in a bit of a better situation to drive home that first run. But Lynch wavers at it 2-2. A couple of track folks running behind us. Getting in their run on this hot Monday afternoon. I mean, I've seen hotter games, but definitely not having really any wind doesn't help the case. But Biddle locks up Lynch with a slider right down the middle, just curved right into the strike zone at the perfect time. That's strikeout number 61 for Evan Biddle on his senior campaign, and that's going to set the stage for Charlie Grady here with 2 down. And with 2 outs, Zimmer's going to be pinch run here to close the inning. Zach Beebe, who got cleared today, we haven't heard his name in a couple of weeks, but he got cleared today from his concussion protocol, and while he isn't starting in the first round, he is pinch running here at second in his senior campaign. So glad to see him get some more playing time before he gets to walk on June 15th. Here's a fly ball, deep right center field. Back goes Longo. It is over his head. He's going to take a couple hops. Coming in to score is going to be Beebe, and an RBI double for Ryan Zimmer, for Charlie Grady, and it is 1-0 Audubon. That ball looked like it had a chance to go out, but if there was a bit of a breeze, that might have helped it, but no wind out there, and that just doesn't really help your case, and it's 1-0. So a single, a stolen base, and then an RBI double with 2 outs puts Audubon on the board here in the opening inning versus Salem, as Grady with a 2-bagger brings up Trent Bannell. Zach Beebe pinch ran for Ryan Zimmer and then came around to score. As we said, coming back from his concussion protocol, I talked to him earlier today, and we were playing gym softball, which is held out on that field back there where the fence is, and it used to be one of the JV fields a long time ago, and it's actually on the site of where JV soccer plays their games. But the funniest thing was that I saw him over there, and I was just like, aren't you still in concussion protocol? And he says, no, I get cleared today. And I was just like, well, it's good to have you back. I mean, really, you know, he's a great presence on the team. His baseball IQ is great, and his general IQ is great too. He's a very smart human being, and you know, in the honors classes and the AP classes, he knows what he's talking about. You know, he's he's very good at what he does, and he provides on the field and off the field. Very nice guy, very nice human being, as we said. 1-2 to Trent Bannell. Audubon has plated 1 in this inning on an RBI double by Charlie Grady, but Bannell will look to add to that here in the opening first. Swing and a miss. Biddle records strikeout number 62. That's a career high in a single season for him, but Audubon does get a run to start it off here in Audubon. Salem trails 1-0 after 1.
Square bales, flat bands, close.
Here in the top of the second inning, this broadcast is brought to you in part by DJK Roofing, South Jersey's #1 roofing supplier with over 200 5-star reviews on the web. Get a free quote today by calling 856-778-3900. Again, that's 856-778-3900. Scott Lynch, after a scoreless first for him on the hill, brings up Salem with a ground ball to second base, and the throw to first is in time. No, it got away. Slavin couldn't pick it up, and it goes to the lawn chairs. So getting second base for free will be Chase Davis. Do not pass go, do not collect $200, and we're going to have an either E3 or E4 on that play. I mean, it was an easy enough throw by Dempsey, but I don't think Slavin had a clear hold on to it. So in most scorebooks, I would say that would be scored as an E3, but that's more scorer's discretion. Claire, the left fielder, now batting, and the throw back to second base. Lynch had some fervor in that throw. He just really wanted to get him out. I mean, I don't blame him. That should have been out number one, and instead Salem's got a runner in scoring position. Remember, they were held scoreless in a 5-inning shutout versus Audubon last year in the opening round of the playoffs, and they obviously don't want to repeat history, so the number 6 man batting for Salem, showing bunt, and Claire fouls it off towards the wood paneling, and it's 1-1. Caleb Claire, the junior left fielder, .216 average in 2023, 11 for 51, 4 extra base hits, including 3 doubles and 1 singular triple, 9 walks and 6 stolen bases. Also has 12 innings on the mound. And Slavin in a full sprint to the infield, but that's going to be a called strike on the bunt. 1-2.
Let's go, don't put your head.
Did he go around? Yes, he did. And Lynch is going to have his 3rd strikeout of the night as Claire just barely broke the plane on the check swing. Tried the bunt a couple times and came up empty in each attempt as Bryce Harris, the DH, now batting for Salem. 79 degrees here in Audubon, and it sure as heck feels like 79 because there's really no wind to alleviate that. But by the time we're done here, probably around 7 o'clock, it'll go down to 73, and partly cloudy here at Hank Greenberg Field with winds blowing east to the southeast, which is blowing out to right field at 6 miles per hour. But a 6 mile per hour wind doesn't really affect how the baseball flies that much. You would need at least 10 to 15 mile per hour winds at the very least to have any sort of effect on how the baseball flies. Fouled back, it's still 0-2 to Harris. Colin Finney on deck as the first baseman for the Rams. But you see it all the time. You know, Chicago is known as the Windy City because of their proximity to one of the Great Lakes out there. You know, Chicago is a city that's very close to the coastline of that Great Lake out there, and the reason why they're called the Windy City is because you see all those gusts coming in. I mean, you've probably seen a Chicago Bears game at Soldier Field, and it's crazy how, like, NFL kickers and punters have a hard time just punting the ball or kicking the ball at Soldier Field because of how windy the entire city is. You see it all the time down the shore as well. I mean, you know, when you're close to that ocean breeze, there's some ballparks, especially when they're close to the water, that have some of an advantage if the wind is blowing out, because it could go, you know, 20 miles in one direction, could go 20 miles per hour in another. So Harris strikes out, 4 Ks, 2 in each inning for Lynch as Colin Finney now bats. I see it especially in the young part of the spring with the Cubs and the White Sox. You watch one of their games at Wrigley Field or Guaranteed Rate Field where the White Sox play. If the wind is blowing out, you're going to see 5 or 6 home runs in a game. And here's a ground ball on a bunt by Finney. Throw to first is going to be in time with an emphatic punch out at first base by the infield umpire. So how about that for some flair? Salem leaves the runner in scoring position for the 2nd time in as many innings. Let's take a break. 1-0 Audubon after 1.5. Full house here in Audubon, as on this hot Monday afternoon, Salem trails Audubon 1-0 here in the first round of the NJSIAA South Jersey Group 1 playoffs. Try saying that 3 times fast. With Evan Biddle facing Jack Dempsey here in the bottom of the second inning. Salem got a leadoff runner thanks to an E3 on a routine ground ball, but Audubon was able to get out of it with a bunt ground out and 2 strikeouts from Scott Lynch. He's got 4 tonight. Evan Biddle himself, 2 strikeouts in the first inning. That got him to 62 as a grand total for his senior year, making that the career high over 3 varsity seasons for Biddle. But it's 1-1 to Dempsey. 6, 7, and 8 due up for Audubon. Dempsey, Slavin, and Caladros. 1-1. Outside corner misses by a hair. 2-1. Swing and a miss. 2-2. Yeah, I've seen sometimes with ballparks that are closer to the shore, whether it's high school, collegiate, or anything, even something like Lakewood, you know, if you're playing close to the shore where you have that sea breeze, sometimes they have to make the park more of a pitcher's park, because if the wind is blowing out, it almost has like a Coors effect to it. Coors effect being Coors Field in Colorado. They are always known for having the biggest dimensions in all of baseball and also having a lot of home runs hit because it's a mile above sea level. Meanwhile, you know, the parks around here like Philadelphia, 30 to 50 feet above sea level. Probably not even that, considering how close Philly is to the Delaware River. You know, you'd probably imagine not that high up. Count is full to Dempsey, though. He has worked Biddle to the bitter end, as Audubon looks to extend their lead to more than 1 run. Oh, close call, but I think because the catcher dropped the ball on its delivery to the plate, that probably was a ball in hindsight. But
It looked like a ball.
yeah, I mean, could go either way. But Dempsey takes first base on a free pass, and now Joey Slavin bats here. Slavin wrapping up his first varsity season. Spent all of 2022, his sophomore year in JV, and now moving up the ladder a little bit in his junior year. Spends his summers playing for the Scanzano Combat Baseball, with John Scanzano being the former coach of the Kings Christian Ball Club in Cherry Hill, now being the head coach of the Camden County College Cougars, starting in 2023, which is where Charlie Grady and Zach Beebe are going to play. Here comes the throw down to second base, and Jack Dempsey's got a stolen bag. So a 1-1 count brings us to Audubon having another runner in scoring position. So for those just tuning in, Audubon leads 1-0 over to Salem Rams. As Slavin takes a strike, 1-2. Biddle looks back at second, kicks and deals, and Slavin, oh, he got a piece of it. I didn't hear it off the bat, but, or I guess not. They'll count that as a strikeout, make that 3 on the afternoon for Biddle, and this brings up Caladros. Runner on second for the Green Wave, and 1 out as the umpire with a quick discussion with Biddle, giving him a brand new baseball. I picked up some new scorebooks at Dick's Sporting Goods the other day. I think it was Friday. We went there after the Delsey game, and one of the things that I had noticed was, you know, I was talking earlier, you know, in the season about how expensive baseballs are. Like a baseball wrapped in plastic at Dick's Sporting Goods is like $8. Now there are some, I should say that $8 is on the expensive end. The cheaper baseballs are like still $4.50, $5 a piece. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, I'm thinking of the days when, you know, we would have baseball practice and the Little League coaches would have these baseballs that have been scuffed up over the course of 20, 30 years, if not more, and are just sitting there, and they've been there for so long. You know, some are waterlogged, some of the hide coming off of the baseball. And one of the things that I thought of was, you know, now that I see in the stores itself how expensive the baseballs and the equipment are, I'm like, no wonder why the baseballs are all scuffed up. They can't afford to get new ones. So, you know, it's one of those deals. As here's a base hit in the left center field. It's going to drop in front of Claire. Coming to the plate will be Dempsey, and he will score uncontested. RBI single. Nick Caladros, and it's 2-0 Green Wave. So Caladros driving through in the bottom of the order, and Charlie Copsetta is going to bat here now with a runner on first and one away. Charlie Copsetta has had a roller coaster of a year, from batting second in the order to being out for a couple of weeks with a strained quad to now rounding out the order at the, you know, at the bookends of the season. But there's a ball outside, bit of a slide step there off of the catcher May, but it's 1-0. 135 average though in 2023, 5 for 37. 7 walks, 4 hit by pitches, and 6 stolen bases. He had 3 at-bats last year in 2022, was mostly used, though, as a pinch runner. Although last year, as to count as 1-1, Audubon had more of a exclusive pinch runner that they would use at their will, Damian Broadhurst. He led the conference in stolen bases with 21, which I was frankly very surprised by when I, you know, was plugging in the numbers. I'm like, there's nobody that's got more than 21 stolen bases, but he didn't have a single at bat, and he had more stolen bases than anyone else in the entire conference across the 10 competitive teams. As there's a swing and a miss, 2-2. Tyler Wiltsey on deck. He flew out to right field, out to Ethan McDonald-Longo, his first time. Let's do it again. Biddle kicks and deals, and a curveball misses low. I wonder, looked like he kind of botched his windup a little bit there. I saw his foot kind of drive into the ground, and it landed a little bit weird, but it's 3-2. I mean, when you're a pitcher on the road, especially in an out-of-conference game where, you know, you're not really used to seeing these guys before and seeing how the field works, you know, it's working out a relationship with the field and seeing, you know, how the grass plays. Does the grass bounce a lot? Does it just kind of die in the grass, depending on, you know, if it rained recently? And it really comes down to a lot of different environmental factors. But after the Copsetta strikeout, this is going to bring up Tyler Wiltsey with 2 down and a runner on first for Audubon. Wiltsey rockets one in the left field, a base hit. It'll go out towards Claire. He lets it hit his chest, and Copsetta will move to second, but no further, as a 2-out single off the bat of Wiltsey pushes the envelope a little bit more here with 2 down and 2 on. Four Ks for Biddle. As now, after Wiltsey's single, Ryan Zimmer bats now. First pitch is a strike, 0-1. By the way, in the Pittman-Wildwood game, which will determine who either Audubon or Salem plays at the end of this game, Pittman leads over Wildwood 3-0 going to the 4th inning. Pittman is the number 7 seed. Wildwood is the number 10 seed. I'm sure that Wildwood would have loved to have a home game because they don't have to go an hour away, but Salem wasn't much better off. I mean, they had to travel 45 minutes to get here, but that's the thing about South Jersey. It's a lot more spread out. And the way that the state playoffs work for the sectional champions is honestly brilliant. What they do is they have a North Section 1 and a North Section 2, which faces a Central team and a South team. So there's only one state champion for South Jersey, and there's only one for Central, but there's two for the North because of how packed it is. Because once you get up near Newark and the New York City metropolitan area with, I don't know, Essex County, Hudson County, all those counties up there, once you get up near the New York City metropolitan area, it gets so packed. I think over like 50% of the high schools that play baseball in New Jersey are based in the north part of the state. Even in Warren County, it's still pretty packed up there. Once you get up into like the mountains and the hills of the Appalachians, it's pretty crazy. But this is going to be a full count. Runners are going to be getting a head start with 2 on, 2 out, and a full count to Ryan Zimmer, who singled, and his pinch runner came around to score in the first inning. We'll see if Zimmer can add a couple ribbies to his resume this afternoon. Here's a ground ball out to short, picked up, throw across the diamond is in time, and Zimmer is retired. Audubon leaves 2 on, but gets another run home. They push it a little more, and it's 2-0 after 2. Top of the 3rd inning. Getting a little ahead of myself, but Audubon leads 2-0 over the Salem Rams here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting as we kick off the playoffs with a banger, as the number 15 seed Salem Rams hanging in as tightly as they can versus the number 2 seed Audubon Green Wave. Salem finishing their regular season 5-16 in the Tri-County Classic Division, 1-7 in interdivisional play. As there's a strike. 0-2. But Audubon 17-7 at the end of the regular season. As there is a strike call, 1-2. So Grusmeyer at the dish here for Salem. Andrew May up next for the Rams, followed by the pitcher Evan Biddle. 9-1-2, Nick Grusmeyer. Sporting the number 99, which you don't see too often in high school. You don't see it too often in professional sports, period, but even in high school, like I know the Audubon system is, it's lowest numbers first. It's like 1 through 25 or something like that. It's really all they offer. And I think because the difference is that for Audubon's jerseys, the numbers they're not printed on there. They're actually like, applied and sealed and all that and stitched on. So those are why those numbers have to stay low, because there's really no room for custom orders. But for Salem, I think because they're numbers are screen printed onto the back of their jerseys, they can make it whatever number they want. They can make it 3 7/8 if they wanted to, but 0-2 to Andrew May as Lynch with 5 strikeouts. That one is up and in. May had to duck down for that one. Although you've heard the story of Eddie Gadel, right? 1940s St. Louis Browns player, the owner of the Browns at the time, which later became the Baltimore Orioles, as there's a strike 3 called. Half dozen strikeouts for Scott Lynch. Put it on a baker's tray. That's going to be the second out, bringing up Evan Biddle. But Eddie Gadel was this player who was, let's say, small. I mean, you know, that's the best way I can describe it. They used worse terms back in the 40s, but he was 3 feet tall, and the St. Louis Browns, which, like we said, later became the Orioles because St. Louis used to have 2 teams in the city, the Cardinals and the Browns. Their owner wanted to bring, you know, kind of put more butts in seats. And what they ended up doing was they brought in Gadel, and they had him have 1 at bat against a real team in a game, and he wore the jersey number 1/8. Here's a fly ball ripped out to right field, going back, and Biddle is diving. Did he make the catch? Yes, he did. What a play. Trent Biddle going all out, putting everything on the line to make that play. Salem goes down 1-2-3, and with a little bit of a flair for the dramatic from the sophomore right fielder, we go to the bottom of the 3rd, 2-0 Audubon. Three, 4, and 5 due up for Audubon as Evan Biddle and Scott Lynch going at it in a 2-0 ball game in the favor of Audubon right now. But could swing the other way as soon as Salem gets up to the plate, as Evan Biddle had a really deep fly ball to right. It was a couple feet from leaving the yard, but Trent Biddle brought it down with a diving catch, which he's had a lot of those this year. I guess that experience of being, I just kind of put 2 and 2 together over the break, but you also have to realize he's the soccer goalkeeper as well. He's used to diving around and extending his body. It's just what he's used to. He doesn't care if he gets bruised up. He just does it.
Very athletic.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very athletic kid, you know, 2-sport athlete. And I've told people before, you know, multi-sporting, you know, doing a sport in the fall and the winter and the spring, it's taxing. It takes a big toll on you. But it's worth it because it shows college coaches that you have diversity and that you're willing to try out different things. And even if you're not a star in all 3 sports, because that's one thing that people end up doing when they're really good at one sport but not so great at the others is they quit the other sports because they're not, that great at it. And I say no. You should still play in those sports because it shows that you're willing to play for a team even if you're not the superstar. If you're a superstar in multiple sports, that's great, but if you're great at one and all right at the others, still play the other sports. I've always said that about multi-sports.
It'll still contribute to whatever sport you have the passion for.
Yeah, I mean, look at what Trent Bannell's been doing. The diving catches.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't be so willing to just kind of throw his body on the grass if he wasn't already doing that every day in soccer. Here is Charlie Grady as he takes a strike after Lynch went down on strikes with one away here in the bottom of the third. Definitely not as lopsided of a game as we had last year.
No.
Nothing in 5 innings, but I think that Salem made the right call by putting Biddle out there because, if Salem is able to pull off if Salem's able to pull off the improbable, then, they would go into the 7-10 game with having a bit of a better chip on their shoulders, knowing that Biddle got them there. But his fastball continues to be dominant as Charlie Grady goes down on strikes for the second out of third. Trent Bannell now bats here for the Green Wave. As Biddle went into this inning with 44 pitches, he's probably closer to the 50 to 55 mark now. We'll see how he works out with that. As Biddle facing Bantle. First pitch. Bantle takes outside, 1-0. Biddle with a grand total of 6 strikeouts. Each pitcher actually has 6 strikeouts in this one. Scoreboard might tell you otherwise, but this is more of a pitcher's duel than you think. I mean, that breaking ball right there, that is impressive from Biddle. He really knows what he's doing. It's 1-1. Almost made Bannell fold over, trying to get a beat on that baseball. Bannell grounds it to third, but Robinson is there at the edge of the infield grass. And a pedestrian throw over to first is in time to retire the side. Evan Biddle having that fastball and curveball combo work like magic. After 3, it's 2-0 Audubon. We've got a Parole's printing pitching change here in the top of the 4th inning. Scott Lynch is out after 3. Gabe McCracken now getting the nod here in the 4th. It's time for DWB Trivia Time. Today's question is going to be, when was the designated hitter rule, which was originally only adopted by American League teams, when was that adopted for the first time? That's the first pitch to Robinson. Is upstairs, 1-0.
And your options are?
Options are
1901,
1901,
2004,
2004, Bless you.
1945.
Bless you is not an option.
Sorry.
1901, you said?
1901, 2004, 1945, or 1973.
All right, well, the answer will be revealed in the bottom of the fourth inning. 1-1 to Robinson. He's going to poke one out to right field, and that one is going to drop for a foul ball. Just a couple of feet foul, and Robinson will go back to the box on a 1-2 count. 3, 4, and 5 due up for Salem here in the top of the fourth. Terrell Robinson, Ethan McDonald Longo, and Chase Davis on deck for Salem. 2-0 Green Wave here in the South Jersey Group 1 opener. Gabe McCracken in for Scott Lynch after 3 innings of work, and there's a swing and a miss. First strikeout for McCracken in relief here, and that's going to get the first out of the fourth squared away. Now Ethan Longo coming up for Salem. Audubon with 2 runs on just 2 hits. A couple of walks here and there, but Salem has really held Audubon to a bare minimum with those 2 runs coming in somewhat dubious circumstances. But Salem still has no hits to this point, though. A fielder's choice, a walk, an error. They've reached in every way imaginable other than a hit, so we'll see what Longo can muster up here. Line drive, and speaking of hits, there's the first one of the day for Salem. A liner to left off the bat of Longo puts Salem on the hit column, so you can wipe off the goose egg, and that's going to bring up Chase Davis, the number 5 hitter here for Salem. McCracken has had an exceptional sophomore year. We interviewed him, I believe, after that 5-0 win versus Haddonfield. 6 innings of work, like a dozen strikeouts under his belt. Was a truly incredible performance by McCracken. And for the sophomore right-hander, he came into his sophomore year. I wasn't sure how many appearances he was going to get, but after this year, he should be the opening day starter in 2024, in my opinion. A bunt back to the mound. They got the easiest out possible at first base, so Davis is retired for the second out, putting a runner on second, being Longo. So the sacrifice was successful. They got that squared away, but here is Bryce Harris, 0 for 1. Excuse me, not Harris. Claire now. Batting for Salem. Caleb Claire. Junior outfielder. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Swing and a miss. Gabe McCracken strikes out 2 and leaves the runner on second. Salem gets their first hit, but doesn't advance the ball any further. We go to the bottom of the fourth, 2-0 Audubon. 2-0 Audubon. Here in the bottom of the 4th inning, it's time for DWB Trivia Time. Today's question is, the designated hitter, which was originally only used by the American League teams, was adopted in what year? 1901, 2004, 1945, or 1973? Producer Donna, what's your answer?
2004. Oh, no.
Incorrect.
1973.
You revealed your own answer. The correct
Yep.
answer is 1973. That was the first year that the American League adopted the DH, as we'll go back to the main board here with a 1-0 count to Jack Dempsey. That's the second off is away, 2-0. McCracken with 2 strikeouts in the 4th. Getting the relief boards here. Evan Biddle still doing his magic though, 7 strikeouts in 3 innings. As there's a strike, 2-1. But yeah, the American League adopted the designated hitter rule in 1973. Originally, before that, pitchers would bat in both leagues, but the difference is that I think a lot of people forget this, and you might remember this from when you watched baseball, but back in like high school and college and everything like that. But the American League and National League used to be separate organizations that ran under the umbrella of Major League Baseball, but both had different presidents, different operating committees, different sets of rules. Even in some circumstances, there were some minor rules that were different.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter because they weren't playing each other. Interleague baseball did not start until 1997. American League teams only played AL teams, NL teams only played NL teams. So it's when those 2 leagues merged in 97 that it became a bit of a weird oddity as Dempsey strikes out for the first out. This will bring up Joey Slavin. But it was only in 97 that when that rule was adopted for both teams, both leagues to come together and play each other, it was only then that it became a little bit weird when, for the 5 times a year that the American League team would have to play in a National League ballpark, and the pitcher that's never used to picking up a bat has to pick up a bat and hit. It's kind of like when Audubon's up 20 runs versus a barn burner school, and you've got like Jason Stockland, Dylan Pooley, and those guys that are never used to hitting at all. They pick up a bat and they got to hit. But that's voluntary because the coach put them in. It's not a rule that requires you to do it. They just pulled their starters out of courtesy sake. But anyways, 0-2 count to Joey Slavin here. 8 strikeouts for Biddle. Slavin rips one foul. Still 0-2. Caladros on deck. But yeah, it was always an interesting, for the every once in a while that I saw an interleague game at Citizens Bank Park, where the Phillies played, it was always kind of just a fun, goofy moment when the pitcher from the American League side would bat. And it used to be just kind of a fun part of the game, but then it just kind of turned into an ugly mess where American League pitchers wouldn't pick up the bat and they just wouldn't swing. And they will be fine with taking a strikeout. They'd just be fine with that. They'd swing maybe once, but it would look no better than a high schooler swing. So that's when in 2020 they decided to axe the DH in the American League and make it universal. As there's a swing and a miss. 9 strikeouts for Evan Biddle. He continues to wheel and deal, bringing up Nick Caladros. But baseball was the only sport that ever had a rule like that was dependent on who you were playing. It's not like in the NBA there's a 4-point line if you're playing in the Western Conference. There's no such thing like that. Imagine in the NFL, a touchdown is worth 8 points if you played in an NFC stadium. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But in baseball, that was just how it was for the past 50 years. And out of any other major sports league, I would say that baseball has the most pure traditionalists. They don't want any change. I'm sure back in 1973 when the AL adopted the national hitter, there were people that, when the AL adopted the DH, that was probably a controversial topic in its day. But the 1-1 to Nick Caladros. Swing and a miss, 1-2. Charlie Copsetta on deck if the inning continues. Imagine if the pitch clock was adopted back in the 70s. That would have been a more controversial issue then than it is now. Evan Biddle, what a day he's had. The scoreboard may have Salem down by 2, but he is up by 1,000,000 on the mound as he has struck out 10 batters and 6 in a row against Audubon. We go to the 5th, 2-0 Green Wave. Here in the top of the 5th, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Paroli's Printing and Bantles, Banners, Signs, and Apparel, the true one-stop shop for all your print and promotional needs with a 5-star Google rating. Over 50 years in business, handling any ink-on-paper project as well as banners, signs, apparel, and promotional swag. Gabe McCracken entering his 2nd inning of relief as Scott Lynch threw 3. McCracken relieved him in the 4th, and he is now entering his 2nd inning of work as the Green Wave lead 2-0 over the Salem Rams, as here's a ground ball out towards the middle of the infield, and it is going to be picked up by Wiltsey. Throw on the run in time. And there's one away. So Bryce Harris is retired. This brings up Colin Finney. He'll be followed by Nick Grusmeyer. Wiltsey really has an exceptional ability to make those plays on the run. I think that a lot of shortstops, more traditional shortstops, would have to stop their motion. They'd have to stop their running motion and then gather a throw. But Wiltsey can, it's all just kind of, it's fluid and it just moves in one single motion. He picks up the ball and he throws it. It's really simple as that, and he could be running in a full sprint and still have an accurate throw. And his defense has gotten better in the last couple of weeks. I did critique him a little bit, not personally, but on the air, versus Buna, as the count is 1-2 to Colin Finney. And he had a bad defensive game. Had 3 errors. Audubon as a team had 5 errors the entire game across Audubon and Buna. Had 9 total errors. So, I said, look, wasn't that great of a game, but he had a couple more, on and off games defensively, and now he's kind of, honed it down, and he's kind of taken a step back and has collected himself and improved as a defender. McCracken with strikeout number 3 as Finney is retired, bringing up Nick Grusmeyer. Audubon looking to snap a streak of 5 consecutive years without an advancement past the 2nd round. Audubon has been knocked out in the 2nd round of the playoffs every year in 2018, 2019, 2021, and 2022. They're looking to make sure that this is not year number 5 that happens. The last year that they made it past the 2nd round, they actually won the South Jersey Group 1 championship That was in 2017, but they lost to West Essex in the Group 1 semifinal. Grusmeyer takes away. Bannell started to trot towards the dugout, but a little bit prematurely. And it's 1-2. Grusmeyer, the number 9 hitter here for Salem, swings and misses. And McCracken, 4 strikeouts through 2 innings of relief. This has really been a pitcher's duel in a 2 versus 15 seed playoff opener. We go to the bottom of the 5th, 2-0 Green Wave. Bottom of the 5th inning, as Audubon and Salem in the middle of a pitcher's duel here. 2-0 Green Wave over the Rams, as Evan Biddle, the commit to D2 University Frostburg State. He is certainly an excellent pitcher, and I'm sure the folks over at Frostburg State down in Maryland are going to enjoy his services, as he has made it big. 10 strikeouts versus the Green Wave this afternoon, as pinch hitting for Charlie Coxetta will be Bryce Dempsey, the center fielder, with an 0-1 count. And a line drive foul down the right field line. 9-1-2 due up for the Green Wave here in the 5th. A very different game than what it was last year, with these two teams squaring off in the playoffs, with Audubon having a 5-inning mercy rule, but things are a lot different tonight. Evan Biddle ended the 4th inning with 70 pitches under his belt, so he's got 40 in the tank before he has to be taken out. 1-2 count to Dempsey. He'll be followed by Tyler Wiltsey and Ryan Zimmer. Biddle kicks and deals, and there's a swing and a miss. 11 strikeouts for Evan Biddle. And the Green Wave are lucky that Gabe McCracken and Scott Lynch have done well, and they're also lucky that they got those 2 runs pushed across in the first 2 innings, or else we would have ourselves a bit of a heart-pumping scenario, really a heart-racing situation where I'd be terrified, if Audubon lost to a 15 seed in the first round. Audubon has not lost in the first round since 2008, when I had records available. I don't believe in jinxes.
I do.
But they have not made it past the second round since 2017, as we said, when they beat Pennsville in the South Jersey Group 1 Championship, and when they lost to West Essex in the 2017 Group 1 semifinal. That one's a hit by pitch. Got a piece of Wiltsey, and he'll get a free base here, as that did break the streak of Biddle having 7 consecutive strikeouts. So Wiltsey looking to start the party a little bit. Runner on first for Audubon, as Ryan Zimmer steps in here. Wiltsey's running. Throw by May. Down to second base is going to skip in late. And a stolen base for Tyler Wiltsey puts him on second base here with one out. Zimmer with a 1-0 count. 1-1. Could hear that one loud, loud and clear. Oh my goodness. I love the emphatic umpires though. Both of these guys today just so enthusiastic in their work. The 1-1. Outside 2-1. Zimmer up here with a 2-1 count. Two-one pitch. Somebody's got delivery. Inside 3-1. This is Wiltsey with walking by with a tray of Chick-fil-A. I thought it was for us. feel like I got snubbed. 3-1 count. Biddle to Zimmer. Runner on second being Wiltsey. And Zimmer's going to walk on 5 pitches. So the Green Wave pushing the notion a little bit here as Scott Lynch will bat for the 3rd time. He has struck out in both appearances, but he's going to try to right the ship here in the 5th. Stepping off the mound. Swing and a miss. 0-1 to Lynch. Line drive in the left field, a base hit. It's going to fall in front of Claire, and it's going to kick off of his left shin. Coming in to score is going to be Wiltsey, and now getting to third base will be Zimmer. An RBI single that turned into a 2-bagger for Scott Lynch makes it 3-0. As runners will be on second and third, yes, for Audubon as Charlie Grady bats with 1 down. Yeah, the ball was kicked out and left by Caleb Clare. As the cleanup man for the Green Wave. Now getting it started with a foul ball off towards the right side. Hits a tree and comes back down to earth. 0-1. Grady with an RBI double and a strikeout in this one. Yeah, back on the 17th, Biddle had the perfect game versus Leap Academy. 14 of the 15 batters faced were strikeouts, and 3 for 3 with 2 doubles and 3 RBIs. Having a terrific performance on both ends of the baseball. Here's the 0-2. Grady takes down. 1-2. Runners on second and third here for Audubon in the bottom of the 5th. 3-0 Green Wave. 1-2. Foul ball. By the way, Pittman leads over Wildwood 6-0 going to the 6th. So if Pittman hangs on, they would face Audubon if they would hang on to win. But that one is outside, 2-2 to Charlie Grady. Biddle kind of breaking down a little bit here. Issued a hit by pitch, a walk, and an RBI single. He was really dominant through innings, 3, 4, a little bit of the 5th, but Charlie Grady strikes out. Make that a dozen strikeouts for Evan Biddle in this one as he continues to just absolutely get all over these Audubon batters. There's 2 down and 2 on facing Trent Bannell. First pitch. Bannell just kind of lofts one out towards second base, and it is taken in by Grusmeyer to retire the side. We go to the 6th. 3-0 Green Wave. They push another across here in the 5th. I'm kidding. Gabe McCracken here in the top of the 6th inning. Looking for a 3rd inning of relief as Salem starts off the 6th with a ground ball to Caladros. They're across in time. And the leadoff man for the Rams, Andrew May, is retired. And there is 1 out. Green Wave brought up 6 men to the plate in the 5th, 1 scored, as Evan Biddle, who has twirled a gem here in the 3-0 ball game, is going to contribute with his own with a base hit to center field. So 2nd hit of the afternoon for the Rams, 1 off the bat of Ethan Longo and 1 off the bat of Evan Biddle, have now made it a 2-hit ball game from the combined stat lines of Scott Lynch and Gabe McCracken. Here is Terrell Robinson. First pitch. McCracken deals a breaking ball, and it is 0-1.
I like this ump. I can hear him all the way out here.
Oh, yeah.
And he calls a strike.
It's easy to hear.
I love it.
You got about a 50-50 shot of hearing those umpires. If they're super quiet, then it just ends up being a crapshoot. But, for the umpires you can actually hear loud and clear, I just look at the scoreboard usually, but not every ballpark has a scoreboard.
No, we're spoiled here.
So it's hard for me to keep balls and strikes. I mean, it sounds weird of me, but it's hard to keep balls and strikes when there's no scoreboard because I'm talking about Wawa sandwiches and anything else but baseball. So, it's hard to keep a pertinent count of that. But 1-2 to Robinson. 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. He's going to ground one out to Wiltsey. Biddle gets to second base. The throw on the run is in time, and Robinson is retired, but Biddle does move up to second on the hit and run. So that's going to bring up Ethan McDonald-Longo, who is 1 for 2, has a strikeout and a single to this point. 2 outs and a runner on. McCracken looks back at second a couple times. Gets a breaking ball, and Longo swings and misses, 0-1. One. One ball, 2 strikes with 2 outs. McCracken looking to keep Salem scoreless as that one hit off of Longo's foot. That's gotta hurt. He was hobbling a little bit after that one. A little frustrated with himself as well, but umpire's gonna give him some time to walk it off. It looked like he kind of got jammed and the ball just went straight down into his foot, so yeah, he's shaking that off, and he's going to have to get back into the zone with ample time, as it's 1-2 to the cleanup man Longo. Chase Davis, the shortstop, stands on deck as that one's going to be in the dirt. Biddle thinking better of it, retreating back to second base. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Gabe McCracken gets the strikeout to end the inning. We go to the bottom of the 6th. 3-0 Audubon. Bottom of the 6th inning. This game has gone, I would say, quite quickly. I mean, how long has the broadcast been going on? You know? How long the broadcast has been going on?
1:47.
So an hour 47 minutes, relatively quickly.
We started early, so
Yeah, it's been a quick game, and Salem's been making up for, you know, showing up a little late, getting here at like 3:45 for a 4 o'clock game, and you know, we didn't start until I would say probably 420, something like that. But here's a ground ball to third. Robinson picks it up. And that's going to be a quick out as Jack Dempsey is retired. He's 0 for 2 today. There's the first out. Joey Slavin now hitting here for the Green Wave in the bottom of the 6th. But let's go over some South Jersey Group 1 updates. I don't have anything on the scores of any of these games, but here's a look at the bracket of what we're going up against here. As Buna is going to be playing Gateway, or Buna is playing Gateway, 1 seed versus the 16 seed. Shalek is the 9 seed playing Glassboro, the 8 seed. Woodstown is the 5 seed playing Cape May Tech, the 12 seed. Clayton, the 13 seed, is playing Paulsboro, the 4 seed. Pennsville is the 3 playing Maple Shade, the 14. Haddon Township is the 11 playing Gloucester, the 6. Pittman is playing Wildwood, the 7 versus the 10. And then Salem and Audubon, the game you're watching right now. So 0-2 count to Slavin. That's really where we shape up for the South Jersey Group 1. Not a lot of Colonial Conference guys in there, but we do have a Colonial Conference matchup between Haddon Township and Gloucester. As Slavin goes down on strikes, make that, I think that's a baker's dozen for Evan Biddle, as there is the second out of the 6th. Now I'm going to have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's correct. A baker's dozen strikeouts for Evan Biddle, the Frostburg State commit. This broadcast is brought to you in part by Paroli's Printing and Bantle's Banners, Signs, and Apparel, the true one-stop shop for all your print and promotional needs with a 5-star Google rating. If you need graduation, lawn signs and banners, A-frames, business cards, or envelopes done right, this is the place for you. 0-1 to Nick Caladros, the number 8 hitter here for Audubon in the bottom of the 6th. Crunch time for Salem as they are facing elimination. There's no consolation in state playoffs, and Nick Caladros is going to line one in the center field. He's got 2 hits today as he continues to get a couple nice hits here and there. 2 for 3. I don't know who he would interview. I mean, everybody's done great. We've already interviewed Scott, already interviewed Gabe. I mean, we could interview one of them again, but...
Well, it still ain't over till it's over.
It ain't over till it's over.
Not get too ahead of herself.
Audubon's blown a 9-run lead before. Let's not go too crazy.
Let's not start counting those chickens.
Zach Beebe's going to pinch run for Nick Caladros, which, that's interesting. So Beebe running for Caladros could mean that Caladros throws to 7th. That might be interesting. I don't know. Runner on first, 2 down. Copsetta rounding out the order for Audubon here. He bats in the bottom of the 6th with 2 outs and a 1-0 count. Remember, if Audubon wins this game, they'll play Thursday versus either Pittman or Wildwood, although Pittman seems like they have that game in their hands. There's a swing and a miss. 1-1.
Pittman playing Wildwood?
Pittman is playing Wildwood. The last update we have from their Twitter page is from 18 minutes ago, which says Panthers lead 6-0 over Wildwood heading to the 6th.
Okay.
So that's what we got. I don't have anything from any other games. Pittman has, every once in a while, they have a manager that does that runs the Pittman Baseball Live account, which tracks the scores of their games and stuff like that. Wildwood has an actual app for that, which I should probably check. But Copsetta swings and misses. This throw could be BB. It does not. He's got a stolen base. And it's going to be a 2-2 count to Copsetta. Runner in scoring position, 2 outs. A grand time to score here is here we go. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Evan Biddle, 14 strikeouts through 6 innings. He has technically a complete game, but Salem needs 3 runs to avoid elimination. We go to the 7th. Crunch time here in Audubon. 3-0. Green Wave over the Rams. Top of the 7th inning, Green Wave lead over the Salem Rams, 3-0 in a battle between the 2 seed and the number 15 seed. As Evan Biddle has been exceptional for Salem. Unfortunately, his offense hasn't really backed him up. No runs and just a handful of hits here and there. Just 2 hits on the leisure for the Rams, as Gabe McCracken is looking for his 4th inning of relief, as there is a ball leading off the 7th to Chase Davis. It'll be Davis, Caleb Clare, and Bryce Harris, the 3 on deck for Salem, as they're swinging a miss, 1-1.
Let's go, Sticks!
If you're just joining us, the Green Wave got one home in the first, 1 home in the second, and then everything just kind of stalled in the middle innings. Audubon got 1 across in the 5th, but this is a bit of a shock to me. I thought this was, no offense to Salem, but I thought this was going to be a 5-inning game.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be a walk in the park.
Because a 2 seed versus a 15 seed, logically, 17-7 versus 5-16.
But you never know. And
Salem has
showed up
done
to
their.
play.
Salem has put in a valiant effort. They've done their level best to make sure that they do not go down until the last opportunity.
Gotta give him credit.
Yeah, really do. Give them credit where it's due. And McCracken is going to walk Davis.
Come on, Jar!
And it ain't over till it's over.
That's exactly right. McCracken with 41 pitches. This broadcast is brought to you in part by Doug Does Anything, your local handyman. If you need anything done, no matter how big or small, give Doug Does Anything a call, 856-412-0118. And that is going to be all she wrote for Gabe McCracken. The Star Wars theme plays in the background at the request of Charlie Grady, as in a save situation, he's going to try to shut it down here in the top of the 7th. We've got a Parolee's printing pitching change. We'll be right back after this. Top of the 7th inning. Green Wave lead 3-0 over Salem in the playoff opener here. As wow, what a game this has been. The 3rd pitcher for Audubon this afternoon, as we're 5:53 Eastern time. Charlie Grady. His first task will be Caleb Clare for Salem, as the senior right-hander steps in here with a 2.14 ERA in 19 2/3 innings, 22 Ks, 9 runs, 6 of them earned, and 7 walks. There's a strike, 1-1. For Grady this year, this is his 12th appearance of the 2023 campaign. Ground ball out towards the middle of the infield. Wiltsey picks it up for 1. He steps on the bag himself and turns the double play. There's 2 down. Beautiful. Couldn't have drawn it up any better. I thought Wiltsey was going to throw it down, out towards Dempsey out there, due for a 6-4-3, but he said, no, I'm going to do this myself. I'll do it on my own terms. And, really applauding Wiltsey there for taking the initiative and just getting the play done on his own terms, getting it done right. Last chance for Salem. Bryce Harris here with a 1-0 count. Ground ball out to Dempsey. He'll pick it up, and a 3-0 shutout is how we start the 2023 playoffs. A 17-7 regular season now turns into 1-0 in the postseason. Love is gone by David Guetta from 07, playing in the background, as we always do when we win a ball game. And while this game wasn't as much of a walk in the park as I thought it would have been, Evan Biddle did incredible 14 strikeouts in 6 innings, but the Audubon pitching staff outdid him in a 3-0 shutout. In this one, Audubon wins 3-0 over the Salem Rams, and the game is official over in Pittman. Audubon will play the Panthers on Thursday, as the Wildwood Warriors fell to the Panthers 6-1. That was the final score from Alcyon Park. So we're going to do the post-game interview in just a minute. Your player of the game, presented by Doug Does Anything, for the player that can do anything, is Gabe McCracken, who had 3 1/3 innings of relief, was able to really get the job done, and exactly what Doug Does Anything can do, get the job done. What's that? Oh, I should make note that we are playing in Audubon on Thursday. Will be a 4 o'clock start time. So we'll be right here. We'll be right back with the player of the game interview presented by Doug Does Anything, Gabe McCracken. He'll be right in the booth in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, our player of the game and our post-game show presented by Doug Does Anything. For the player that can do anything, give Doug a call today for any handyman job at 856-412-0118. Today's player of the game is Gabe McCracken, who led the Green Wave to a 3-0 shutout of the Rams. Here pitching 3 innings of relief, getting taken out in the 7th in favor of Charlie Grady, but this is the second time you've been on the podium, and I gotta say, an excellent performance in relief today. Scott, really handed you an easy, I wouldn't say easy, but he handed you a good share of, what he had, and he had 6 strikeouts in 3 innings. You had a handful of them yourself, and, the pitching really just dominated today. How did you feel out there today?
Arm felt really good, so that was really holding me back. Once again, Scott came in, no run, so I knew it wasn't gonna be too big of a deal going in, so I just kept my mind, just kept throwing.
Yeah, and I mean, look, coming in relief is a lot different than starting the game. Just having the start of the game under your belt is a lot different than having to make up for somebody else's work. But luckily, Scott dealt you a fair hand and didn't allow any runs, didn't even allow any hits until the 4th inning. So really just really just a lot of positive things out there. And Audubon struggled versus Salem's best pitcher. He had a 2.26 ERA. Biddle, D2 commit, threw a perfect game versus Leap Academy earlier in the year. I know you didn't have any at-bats, but going off of the vibes of the teammates that you had out there at the batting order, did you feel at all nervous about the fact that Audubon only had a 2 or 3 run lead when you were out there?
I knew that if I got one guy on base, it would be a little tricky, but I really didn't think they were going to hit me well. I mean, their pitcher, he's a good hitter. I think he was the only barrel they got off me, really.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really too worried about nothing about that.
And he was just one of the 2 hits that Salem had, one off of Biddle in the 6th inning and one from Longo in the 4th.
Yeah.
So, they didn't really barrel up the ball a whole lot, but it was almost like deja vu. That's how I introduced the broadcast when we started out at like 4 o'clock. I said, well, this is the same 2 teams that played each other in the first round of the playoffs last year. But even though the general outcome is the same, the way that the game progressed was a lot different. With Audubon winning 10-0 in 5 innings last year, now being a 3-0 7-inning win this year, things were a lot different. And even though Audubon got the win, it seemed like the offense just wasn't picking it up versus Biddle, but the pitching was able to make up for that with the 7-inning shutout. So the 3 of you guys working together, Lynch, yourself, and Grady out there for those 7 innings, really just carried the ball club again. And Audubon will be playing Pittman on Thursday. They did beat Wildwood today 6-1, so that'll be here on Thursday in Audubon at 4 o'clock. So how do you guys feel going into that second round?
We feel confident. We know our pitchers are going to have a lot of time to relieve, get a little time away, so our arms should be good. A bit of a Finch out there, so I don't really think Pittman's much, so we should roll right through them too.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, seriously, Audubon said the same thing about Woodstown last year, and you know what they did? They went on to win the state title. It hasn't been since 2017 that Audubon advanced past the second round in the playoffs. 2018, 2019, 2021, and 2022, like clockwork, they got knocked out in the second round. If this is going to be the year for Audubon to move past that, what do you think Audubon will do differently?
I think we were too cocky. I don't know, really. Our pitchers have been throwing really good, so as long as we just keep into like pitching, and even if batting's not as good, we can just mow them down with our pitchers. So
Especially with that Gabe McCracken guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, an excellent performance on all ends tonight, whether it was by Lynch, by Grady, or yourself. So congratulations. You are once again the player of the game, presented by Doug Does Anything, and he is out of here in a hurry. Good grief. Well, from everybody here at Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, my graphics crew, Gavin Van Rel and Caleb Lane, my producer, Donna Wilkins, and myself, Dan Wilkins, 3-0. Audubon beats Salem in 7 innings in a pitching masterclass on both sides. McCracken, Lynch, and Grady combining for over a dozen strikeouts. Evan Biddle in 6 innings for Salem, having 14 on his end. Our next broadcast of any baseball in South Jersey will be tomorrow, 3:45, as the Gloucester City Lions celebrate their senior day against the Penns Grove Red Devils from Jim Kelly Field. Our next broadcast of Audubon baseball will be Thursday, 4 o'clock, right here, same time, same place, versus the Pittman Panthers and Coach John Hopley. From everybody here at DWB, we'll see you tomorrow tomorrow in Gloucester, or for Audubon, we'll see you Thursday. Audubon beats Salem 3-0. Good night, everybody.